Live from the corporation headquarters at the Broadcasting House in Nairobi, this is Channel 1 News Hour. My name is Edward Kabasa. I hope you had yourself a very wonderful day today. And here are the highlights.
The Ministry of Health, within the next 30 days, must come up with a transparent, open method and mechanism through which all tenders and procurement done by KEMSA.
Unmasking the COVID-19 looters, President Uhuru Kenyatta directs KEMSA to publish all tenders awarded during the coronavirus pandemic. The curve slowly flattening as Kenya records 144 new coronavirus cases in 24 hours out of 4,260 samples tested. And free at last, embattled Migori County Governor Okoth Obado released on a 8.7 million shillings cash bail after spending 4 days in the cells over a 73 million shilling fraud. Once again, thank you very much for joining us. Lenso Dingo is our sign language interpreter tonight. You can follow this live broadcast on Facebook, KBC Channel 1, and on Twitter as well at KBC Channel 1. Let's begin. President Uhuru Kenyatta has directed the Ministry of Health to create a digital procurement system within the next 30 days and make public all tenders awarded by the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority. The head of state says the move is aimed at restoring public faith in the authority in the wake of allegations of theft at KEMSA. President Kenyatta said that the digital platform should include all details on procurement, including the value of tenders, process of evaluation, and the tender awardees. The directive comes days after the head of state issued yet another directive calling for a thorough probe into the alleged theft of COVID-19 funds at KEMSA, amounting to billions of shillings.
I think this level of transparency and through the use of technology will go a very long way towards ensuring that we have the confidence of our people, that those who are placed in institutions are able to manage the resources of the Kenyan taxpayer plus our development partners in an open and transparent manner.
President Uhuru Kenyatta was speaking during the COVID-19 virtual conference organized by the Council of Governors, where he called for the utilization of knowledge gained from the global and national response to COVID-19 in the rollout of the universal health coverage in the country.
A shift from symptomatic response under COVID-19 to structural response under universal health coverage must be well thought out.
The conference resolved to, among others, institutionalize Kenya's COVID-19 response in readiness for future pandemics.
Very difficult decisions have had to be made with very far-reaching effects on many aspects of us as a nation. But it is also fair to say that citizens of our nation, in their majority, have responded to your call to take up the decisions that have been made and to comply with the regulations and protocols that have been established by government.
We must act differently. That is why the Council of Governors commissioned the development of the county post-COVID recovery and re-engineering strategy.
Last week, the government conditionally eased some restrictions in response to the reduction of coronavirus infections in the country. President Uhuru Kenyatta says Kenya must continue to apply necessary protocols to completely flatten the curve to revert back to normalcy. Let's take a look at the numbers now. The country's coronavirus caseload rose to 34,201 after 144 people tested positive for the virus in the last 24 hours. From the cases, 133 are Kenyans, while 11 are foreigners. The youngest is a 7-year-old child, while the oldest is 84.
144 Kenyans tested positive for COVID-19 disease in the last 24 hours after 4,260 samples were tested, bringing the total number of cases to 34,201. In a statement, the Ministry of Health further revealed that 133 of the new infections are among Kenyans, while 11 others are foreigners. Nairobi recorded 77 new cases, Mombasa 18, Kiambu 9, Kisumu 6, Machakos and Turkana 5 cases each. Nakuru recorded 4 cases, while Nandi 2 cases. Laikipia, Meru, Isiolo, Kilifi, Homa Bay and Trans Nzoia counties recording a case each. During a similar period, 205 patients recovered from the disease, 122 from home-based care program, while 83 were discharged from various hospitals. The number of recoveries now stand at 19,893. 3 patients succumbed to COVID-19 disease in the last 24 hours, bringing the total number of fatalities to 577. Purity Museo, Channel 1 News.
Migori Governor Okoth Obado has been released on a 8.7 million shilling cash bail or 20 million shillings bond over the 73 million shillings fraud case. Chief Magistrate Lawrence Mugambi also barred the governor from accessing his Migori County offices until the case is concluded. Obado was arrested Thursday and driven to Nairobi, where he had been held since with his 4 children.
The Migori governor has finally secured his freedom, but with a price. Obado was released Monday morning on 8.7 million shillings cash bail or 20 million shillings bond. Chief Magistrate Lawrence Mugambi in his bail ruling ordered that Obado be barred from accessing Migori County offices until the case is concluded.
The state and public officers charged in this case, including the first accused, shall liaise with the investigating officer to be escorted to pick their personal staff, if any, from Migori County offices. Thereafter, there shall be no access to Migori County offices by any of the accused persons in this case. This order is intended to preserve the integrity of the trial process.
The Chief Magistrate also ordered police to give all the identification cards numbers of all the accused in the case to the Immigration Department, who will block their departure from the country.
Investigating officer shall provide all the names and identity card numbers of all the accused in this case, whether with or without the passports, to the Director of Immigration, who is hereby ordered to block the exit from the country by any of the accused persons unless authorized by this court.
Obado was charged alongside his 4 children and 2 other co-accused persons. Meanwhile, Mombasa Court has released Malindi Member of Parliament Aisha Jumwa on a 2 million shillings cash bail or a 5 million bond. Jumwa had been arraigned in court in connection with a 57 million shillings NGCDF. Mombasa Chief Magistrate Edna Nyalot said the court cannot deny the Member of Parliament her bond since she is not a flight risk and the prosecution had not proven so.
Court takes note that the first accused person is a Member of Parliament, and as is natural with all politicians, she could be harboring political ambitions for higher political office and is not a flight risk. However, the court will not grant the first accused person a free bond as requested by the defense team.
The Malindi legislator, who was arraigned in court with other 6 co-accused but denied the corruption charges leveled against her after her release, Jumwa said her arrest was politically instigated but vowed to weather the storm.
Ni jambo la kusikitisha sana na mmesikia mawakili wameongea yote. Mimi I remain the same. Hata wakijaribu kunisukuma I will not bow. Nataka niwaambie ya kwamba yale yote ambayo yanafanyika, kila mtu anajua ni sababu ya my political stand, my political position ambayo mimi nimechukua katika nchi hii. And let me tell you, kama mnataka kunisukuma because of that, tafuteni mtu mwingine.
We still have plenty more lined up for you. Plus, of course, you can continue interacting with us on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 on Twitter, KBC Channel 1 on Facebook as well, where this broadcast is streaming live.
On the next episode of Corner.
I don't think I've forgotten what happened.
You fooled me.
You know I'm a practical girl.
Practical? It's more like a cold-hearted...
Hey! I'm simply doing my job.
What if she thinks...
Angela, don't be silly. She'll understand, and she'd have asked you to save Wangoi if she had the chance.
Do you really think so?
Yeah, for money.
Boss lady, wajua ni aje? Itabidi uamke. Jimmy, najua nilisho. That I'm proud of you. Na nikao karibu kwa mwenda.
People gonna say all kind of things about you.
We them on. Shake up. Need to mush you and done to mush you. When your booty got show me now.
Baby, one time. Bossy baby, give me 2 times. Full 180. Crazy.
Let's go. Ha. I needed some with some bop in.
Mamacita, where you at? I've been trying to reach you.
Choro, 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 choro. Te pago, te pago, mo, te pago.
Katoto shepu awe, ayawe, ayawe.
Pequeña katoto, kamini pequeña, pequeña.
Next on.
Roxana, what did you tell him?
Well, that's the truth. Or did you expect me to lie to him?
You shouldn't have raised his expectations.
Instead of blaming me, come and help me to console him. The boy is suffering.
I'm on my way.
Document file HS Constructions.
El paraíso conocimos.
In love with Ramon.
Very good evening to you. If you're just joining us, this is Channel 1 News Hour. My name is Edward Kabasa. A family in Exndeya village in Lower Shamata, Nyandarua County is in mourning after a man stabbed his wife to death before taking his own life. The ghastly incident happened on Monday morning. Nyandarua North Sub-County Deputy Police Commander Paul Saitoti said they have launched investigations to establish the circumstances that led to the double tragedy.
A domestic disagreement between 41-year-old Anthony Nganga and his 35-year-old wife Wairimu Njeri ended in grief. Their neighbors in Exndeya village in Lower Shamata, Nyandarua County are still in shock following the murder-suicide incident.
Wale wanaoana ni afadhali wakae chini, waongee pamoja, wasikilizane na waone jambo ile wataweza kubaliana, hiyo maneno imalizike.
Ningewasihi na niombe kwamba waweze kuelewana au waombe wale wako karibu na wao waongee vizuri, ndio matatizo nyumbani yaweze kukoma.
Nyandarua North Sub-County Deputy Police Commander Paul Saitoti, who visited the scene, said that investigations into the incident has been launched to establish why Nganga decided to end both their lives.
Mtu akiwa na shida kama hiyo ya nyumbani, inapaswa kuwa awaeleze kuwa dhehebu lao, either kanisa ama msikiti, ama pia waende kwa administrators. Na pastors pia wanaweza kusaidia kuliko mchukue hatua hivyo. Marafiki pia wanaweza saidia. Kwa hivyo hiyo ndio ombi langu kwa wenyeji wa hapa, na tunasikitika, tunasema poleni kwa wale waliofiwa.
According to neighbors, the husband, a father of two, hacked his wife on the neck using an axe, killing her instantly.
Tukakuta mahali huyo kijana alikuwa amejitia kitanzi kwa miti na akaguka, na hiyo miti alikuwa amejitia kitanzi. Sasa alikuwa amekaa hapo kwa mchanga.
James Mwangi, a neighbor, said that they had distress calls, and unfortunately by the time they go to their home, the worst had happened. Nyandarua Women Member of Parliament Faith Gitau has condemned the incident, calling on couples to use alternative methods to solve disputes. Timothy Kipnusu for Channel 1 News.
Let's take a look at some politics now, where embattled Ford Kenya party leader Moses Wetangula says he will not be cowed into abandoning his party. According to Wetangula, the internal wrangle facing the party is instigated by external forces, saying the party will never succumb to intimidation. The embattled party leader, however, vowed to relinquish the post if defeated in a fair contest.
Embattled Ford Kenya party leader Moses Wetangula says that there is no room for fraudsters in the management of the party. The Bungoma senator has vowed not to succumb to pressure and lashed out at individuals who he says are keen to see the downfall of the party ahead of the 2022 general elections.
And it doesn't take rocket science to know that these are puppets of others. And Ford Kenya will never succumb to intimidation. Ford Kenya will never succumb to being micromanaged from elsewhere.
Wetangula, who spoke while meeting Trans Nzoia party delegates in the company of Kiminini MP Chris Wamalwa and Kwanza MP Ferdinand Wanyonyi, was categorical that he will concede defeat should members fail to elect him in the planned party elections.
Tukiwa na NDC yetu, mukija museme tumepata mtu mwingine tutamchagua, mimi nitatia amri.
Mambo ya kuu tunasema shetani afanye nini? Lazima shetani ashindwe. If you think you are a man enough, why don't you come for the elections?
And as the rift in the Ford Kenya continues to widen, a section of MCAs in Trans Nzoia County have decamped to the Tongaren MP Eseli Simiyu-led camp.
Na mimi nashangaa unaitwana mkutano wa chama, wanaita waheshimiwa MCAs, na wale waheshimiwa wanataka kuwashukuru wa Ford Kenya kwa sababu wale elected members MCAs hawajaenda kwa Ferdinand kwa sababu wanajua sheria.
Wetangula ana moyo safi, moyo wa kutakia wengine, moyo wa kuinama chini ili wengine wapande juu yake walete matunda. Si kwamba anashindwa kusimama, lakini kama kiti ni moja, tunaacha wengine.
In Kisii, a section of county assembly members have come to the defense of Health PS Susan Mochache. The MCAs, who say they read mischief in trying to tarnish the name of the PS, questioned the rate at which the health official is being pressured to step aside.
Kwa hivyo wale ambao wanaendelea kupiga makelele na kusema Susan ni Mochache ili aweze kujiusuru, ninawaomba mkae kimya, msubiri mpaka wakati tutakapojua ukweli. According to the MCAs, KEMSA is an independent institution and its officials should be made to account. Elsewhere, Kakamega County Assembly members have dismissed reports that COVID-19 funds were not used appropriately in the counties.
You will have the right to go and find out what has been procured and how much and how was the process. So there's nothing that is being hid. This matter of people moving up and down, addressing meetings, saying that an audit has been carried out and money has been stolen, honestly, members of the press, that is a total lie.
Kamche Menza for Channel 1 News.
The construction of the 3.5 billion shilling meter gauge railway line from the Maimahiu Industrial Park to Longonot Town has stalled following a dispute between area residents and the contractor. Locals staged a protest Monday lamenting lack of job opportunities and compensation for their land, a move that forced the riot police to move in.
The chaos spilled to the nearby Naivasha Maimahiu Road, leading to a massive traffic snarl-up as the protesters vowed that they would not budge until their demands were addressed. Trouble started after the over 100 residents of nearby Jikaze IDP camp held a demonstration at the site of the ongoing project, forcing police to move in. According to the group leader Joseph Njenga, they had not benefited from job opportunities despite the railway passing through their farms. Njenga accused the contractor of hiring youths from other areas and ignoring those from around the project, creating the bad blood.
Tumeenda ofisi zote, tumezunguka. Mara ya kwanza tukaenda pale, tulipatana hadi na mainjinia wa Kenya Railway, ikaandikwa chini, tukaambiwa kazi tutapata. Hata wale hatujawahi pata. Tukakuja tena na mkutano pale gavana, tukaambiwa kazi tutapewa, hatujawahi pewa. Saa hii nadhani kuna madereva wengi hapa, lakini hii area yetu na inaanzia hapa chini huku yote hivyo kwenda hadi kwa lami kwenye reli inaishia, na ina cover more than half of it iko kwetu, na imepitia mashamba na manyumbani kwa watu wenye watapuliziwa vumbi. Hatujawahi pewa mtu hata mmoja hapa kama dereva.
They claimed those involved in employment were seeking 10,000 shillings per person, terming this as unacceptable.
Kama unataka kuajiriwa ukiwa operator, uwe driver, uwe marshal, 10,000. Komiti ile ya kwanza na wale wako kule na mchina wako pamoja. Shida yetu ni kuwa hatuna pesa. Na bila hatuna pesa, chifu ambaye anaweza kututetea alipata accident.
An official from the Kenya Railways admitted that there was a challenge in hiring staff as the real work was yet to start.
What is most important I've mentioned to you, because unajua kazi watu wanahitaji kazi watu wengi, na kazi nyingi zinahitajika. Na ile kazi nimeeleza inafanyika hapa is a very small fraction. Only out of the over 20 kilometers of this works to be done. We are only working on 4 kilometers because we have not accessed land.
Last week, Naivasha MP Jen Kihara and senior government officers met the contractor and agreed on locals being given priority in employment.
In other matters, 2 people were seriously injured after the driver of a 14-seater matatu lost control and rammed into a 25-seater matatu along the Uhuru Highway in Nairobi. Elsewhere, the groundbreaking of the Ida Odinga Library and Resource Center will be done next month at the Ogande Girls High School in Homa Bay County.
2 people were seriously injured after the driver of a 14-seater matatu lost control and rammed into a 25-seater matatu along Uhuru Highway in Nairobi. The brakes of the vehicles are said to have failed. Passengers who sustained minor injuries were given first aid at the scene, while the driver and 1 passenger were taken to Kenyatta Hospital for further treatment. Elsewhere, the groundbreaking of the Ida Odinga Library and Resource Center will be done next month at Ogande Girls High School in Homa Bay County. The funds drive held towards the construction of the center last Friday realized approximately 177 million shillings. Wife of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, Ida Odinga, who is sponsoring the project, is optimistic it will improve the education level in the region.
I do not take this for granted that many friends of whom I've never met personally came forward and contributed to this project.
In Baringo County, the Geothermal Development Company has announced a joint venture with Baringo County government for the establishment of an industrial park powered by the geothermal energy. The park will benefit heavily from the cheap power generated by the company.
Collaboration that we are intending to have between ourselves and GDC, we can be able to develop and market this resource with a view of providing what in Kenya we call industrial parks.
Moving on, a family in Emakaka village in Kakamega County is mourning the sudden death of their kin who was attacked and murdered in cold blood by unknown people. The deceased Kennedy Atila, who was a primary teacher, is believed to have been with his friends at a nearby market center before his untimely death. Finally, Mandera residents are urging the national and county governments to assist them cope with health and economic effects of COVID-19 pandemics. Governor Ali Roba, while acknowledging the plight of the residents, urged them to follow the Ministry of Health protocols and prevent the spread of the disease.
Ni mzuri wananchi wetu waweze kuelewa hii shida kama ni shida ambayo yaweza kutokea wakati wowote hapa Mandera na kwingine, na wasiweze kufikiria kwa sababu imesemekana Nairobi na kaunti zingine hii shida haiwezi kutokea hapa.
Suleiman Yeri, Channel 1 News.
Let's take a look at other stories. A man who inspired a Hollywood film about the 1994 Rwandan genocide has been arrested for leading terrorist movement. Paul Rusebambagina, a Hutu, was paraded by the authorities at a press conference in the capital Kigali after he was arrested under an international warrant. And Sudan's transitional government and rebel groups have signed a peace agreement today to end 17 years of conflict.
Paul Rusesabagina, a Hutu, became well known after Hotel Rwanda depicted his efforts to save hundreds of Tutsis at his hotel during the 1994 genocide. He later launched an opposition party which had an armed wing based in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Rusesabagina, 66, has received several human rights awards for his life-saving efforts, including the U.S. Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2005. He was paraded by authorities at a press conference in the capital Kigali after he was arrested under an international warrant. Still in Africa, there seems to be a ray of hope at last in the Africa's troubled country Sudan after a peace deal was signed on Monday. Sudan's Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok has said the signing of the deal with rebel groups is the beginning of the road to peace. His comments came after Sudan's transitional government signed a peace deal with 5 rebel groups. And a feel-good moment event over the weekend turned tragic after 25 people were taken to hospital with carbon monoxide poisoning after attending an illegal rave in a bunker in the Norwegian capital Oslo. Out of the 200 people thought to have attended the rave, 5 are in critical condition and 2 police officers who tended to the partygoers are among those poisoned. Authorities believe the poisoning was caused by portable generators. On a sad note, India's former president Pranab Mukherjee has died 21 days after confirming that he had tested positive for the coronavirus. The 84-year-old was in hospital to remove a clot in his brain when it was discovered he also had COVID-19. Before serving as president between 2012 and 2017, he held several important portfolios during his 51-year political career. Ruth Wamboi for Channel 1 News.
Thank you very much, Ruth Wamboi, for that report. We are taking another break. Business News is coming up next.
On the next episode of Ashoka.
Had I not killed her at the right time, then she would have told everything to your father.
But mother, what can I do if Ashok is so lucky?
In your absence, it will not be appropriate to leave the throne vacant.
He also said that his mother was dead, didn't he? And he has been shedding fake tears, keeping you as his support. Had I been in your place, I would have thought that someone who can lie about his mother's death for his motives, can he not fake his friendship for the same reason?
Why should I trust you?
KBC, in collaboration with the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, is broadcasting enhanced out-of-class learning on radio, television and online. Catch the lessons every weekday on KBC Channel 1 from 2 to 4 p.m. on KBC English Service and 15 FM from 9:15 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Radio Taifa from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. KBC English Service, Radio Taifa and 15 FM are also available countrywide on the free-to-air Signet digital TV platform, or log on to www.kbc.co.ke for live streaming, or download the KBC online app on Google Play Store. Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, ensuring learning no matter what.
Welcome back to the program. Time for business. Farmers in Western Kenya have been encouraged to embrace groundnut farming to tap a ready market. BK Apiari's international CEO Jackson Masesi says nut processing companies have been forced to import groundnuts from neighboring countries despite Kenya having favorable weather conditions for nut production.
With farmers in Western Kenya grappling with failing sugarcane and maize subsectors,
There have been frequent calls from different quarters for farmers to diversify their ventures. Big Care Aparis International CEO Jackson Masesi is calling on the Western Kenya farmers to embrace groundnuts as an alternative to sugarcane and maize. Masesi says his company and other nut processors have been forced to import the nuts from Uganda, Tanzania and Malawi to plug the deficit.
We also import a lot from peanuts from Malawi and also in Tanzania because of we realize sometimes we got shortage in Kenya, and that is something that we are actually working out to see.
We have almost around 400 farmers whom we are engaging in Tanzania, and we are projecting by end of the year. Our main projection is Tanzania, we should be having almost 1,500 farmers.
He argues that groundnuts have a faster maturity rate, with a hectare in areas with favorable topography producing between 450 and 700 kilograms of nuts.
We are looking forward to work with farmers because currently we are actually registering farmers, good quality nuts, especially organic. We are now moving focused on organic peanuts.
The government has been asked to train farmers on the best crop husbandry to ensure farmers produce quality nuts.
We are now in northeast Pokot and also trying to work out with some projects there for peanut or groundnut farming.
Last year, Kenya imported groundnuts worth 303 million shillings, with the government and the EU starting a nut market access upgrade program in 21 counties in a bid to boost groundnut production in the country. Benson Rioba reporting for Channel 1 Business.
And to other business matters, UAP Holdings has reported a first half net loss of 305 million shillings, having plunged from a profit of 383 million shillings during a similar period last year, blamed on poor performance at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. The firm says investment income was down 34%, driven by fair value losses of 771 million shillings on equity investments during the period, compared to fair value gains of 407 million shillings during a corresponding period in 2019. Here are the details of this and other stories in our corporate briefs.
UAP Holdings said the NSE All Share Index was down 17.2% during the first 6 months of this year, compared to an increase of 6.5% during a similar period in 2019. The firm says this was driven by reduced investors' appetite for equities on the back of COVID-19 pandemic. Overall, UAP Holdings saw a double-digit increase in gross written premiums at 11%, driven by core short-term insurance businesses, which reverses the previous trend of declining flat growth experienced in recent years.
Therefore, year-on-year operating results are reflecting a 25% growth. However, in the investment income saw a decline of 34%, mainly due to the performance of the equity markets. We had a fair value loss of just over 770 million, compared to a gain of 400 million in the previous year.
Meanwhile, Nairobi residents who source water supply from private water suppliers are assured of clean, safe water should a new move to regulate the providers take effect. Water and Sanitation Principal Secretary Joseph Irungu says an app is being developed that will regulate the sourcing and pricing of water in a new measure that will also apply to those operating bowsers and exhausters.
We intend to put them on an app, on a mobile app that we can be able to monitor what they are doing. We don't want boreholes that are running across the city. First and foremost, we don't know where they draw water. We need to know where a borehole draws water. And we also want to know where the exhausters, where they discharge the sewer.
The suppliers will have to be registered and monitored by the Water Services Regulatory Board and the Water Works Development Authority. Finally, Brookside Dairies has increased its farm gate prices to 42 shillings per litre starting tomorrow. The company's director, John Gethy, says the 17% increase in milk buying prices is to cushion farmers from losses that have arisen due to the breakdown of milk value chain as coronavirus pandemic negative effects continues to bite. Milk farmers have been urged to feed their livestock with quality feed to boost production and fill the current deficit, as production has dropped by 36% during the COVID-19 period. Benson Rioba reporting for Channel 1 business.
Let's take a look at sports news now, where the race for the Football Kenya Federation presidency has taken a new twist after former FKF National Executive Committee member Nyanza Branch Thomas Alila withdrew his candidature from the presidential race. He will now vie for the position of NEC member in Nairobi branch after he presented nomination papers to the Electoral Board.
The much-awaited FKF elections are around the corner as all eyes have been shifted to the Electoral Board that will oversee the elections. Former National Executive Committee member Nyanza Branch Tom Alila was seeking the position of the chairman as withdrew his candidature for the top seat and will now vie for the position of NEC member Nairobi branch.
We did our calculations with the delegates and stuff. You look at the numbers and then you see which way is best. So we've, for me, I'm going for NEC Nairobi. Now it's official. I've already put my papers.
Alila will battle it out with Isaac Masharia, who also presented his nomination papers to the Electoral Board.
Decision to contest for this election is to make to bring sanity to our football in terms of corporate leadership and accountability and transparency on how we're handling issues in the federation.
Boniface Osano, who is seeking to be elected as the federation's chairman, confirmed to be on the ballot to challenge incumbent Nick Mwendwa after presenting his nomination papers alongside his running mate Innocent Mutiso.
Nimesikia habari ya kwamba kuna wale ambao wamekuwa kwa mpira kwa muda mingi sana na wamekuwa wakisema wanataka kuleta mabadiliko, lakini ile mabadiliko tunaona wanaicheza pale kotini, lakini tunataka kuambia kwamba mpira irudi uwanjani.
Now we want to take the front seat. We want to be the decision makers. That is where footballers have been lacking. We've always wanted after retiring, and people also expect us to be coaches, to be team managers. They do not want us to be the decision makers. But right now we want to be the decision makers.
The Electoral Board has set the date for the branch elections to be conducted on 19th September, while the national elections are slated for 17th October. Frederick Moki for Channel 1 Sports.
To some international sports now, where Manchester United are closing in on the signing of Ajax midfielder Donny van de Beek after the two clubs agreed a fee in the region of £40 million. United coach Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a huge admirer of the Netherlands international, age 23, and has had him watched on a number of occasions. It is understood United have now firmed up their interest with the medical and personal terms still to be concluded. The transfer is expected to be finalized within days. Van de Beek is set to sign a 5-year deal, which will allow him to be available for United's opening game of the season against Crystal Palace on 19th September. He will become Solskjaer's first summer signing after a much-publicized move for Borussia Dortmund's winger Jadon Sancho stalled over the size of the transfer fees. That does it for us for this edition of Channel 1 News Hour. We do thank you very much. Plus, of course, you can take a look at our website, kbc.co.ke, the story there. Uhuru orders Ministry of Health to publish KEMSA tenders online. There is also a story about the status of education, schools to increase boarding capacity. That's from the ministry led by Professor George Magoha. And Kenya's COVID-19 cases hit 34,201 after 144 new cases. That story is also there. It is quite interactive. You can check that out. You can also stay up to date with breaking news on Twitter at KBC Channel 1 and Facebook as well. That does it for us for this edition of Channel 1 News Hour. On behalf of the team here, that includes my sign language interpreter Lenso Dingo, including the directors as well and the producers. My name is Edward Kabasa. Irene Muchuma Odim is coming up next with the day's weather forecast.
You're just in time for Channel 1 weather updates. I hope you're well from wherever you are. Thank you for your time. My name is Irene Mchuma Odem. Tonight, Kericho town is the coldest. Temperatures stand at 9 degrees Celsius. It is the same area that is tonight experiencing showers accompanied by thunderstorms over a few places. Weather conditions that are also stretching towards the county of Kisii. This, as the rest of the country, has been covered with partly cloudy conditions, and that is how the night will be. Tomorrow, during the early morning hours, the whole country will experience sunny conditions, save for a few areas over the coastal strip, where there will be cloudy conditions, but then sunny conditions will later prevail. A few areas around Lodwar and Samburu will experience rains over a few places. This will change over most parts of the country during the afternoon hours. There will be showers accompanied by thunderstorms in Kisii, Kakamega, Bungoma, Eldoret, Narok, and Kericho. The coastal strip will mainly experience sunny conditions, but there will be showers over a few places in the county of Kilifi. In Garissa, there will be rains over a few places during the afternoon hours, but then most parts of the northern parts of the country, the capital and southeastern lowlands, will experience sunny conditions during the afternoon hours. Temperatures are going up again. The county of Mandera will experience highs of 37 degrees Celsius. Nairobi will experience highs of 27 and lows of 13 degrees Celsius. Let's now cross the borders and have a look at the international forecast. Do have a good night and a good day ahead.